Aim assist has always been a huge part of Fortnite, but recently things have been different. You see, in the past, controller players used to dominate leaderboards, winning almost every FNCS in Chapter 2, but recently they've been failing to even come top 10. So how does such a dominant group of players go from winning to losing? This is the evolution of aim assist. With the release of Fortnite Battle Royale on September 26, 2017, we would see the introduction of aim assist for all controller players. Aim assist wouldn't start to get backlash until a player known as Ghost Aiden created a method known as L2 spamming. L2 spamming refers to repeatedly pressing the L2 button on a controller. This would help to increase the accuracy on aim assist, which many players believe to be overpowered. Heading into the Fortnite World Cup, the strategies created with aim assist still weren't popular, and controller players in general were still underrated. In the World Cup qualifiers, we would see the introduction of one of the most talented players. His name was Unknown Army. Unknown would get second in the third week of the World Cup qualifiers and then get third in the ninth week, securing his spot in the World Cup finals. But unfortunately, he would only finish in 69th place. On the other hand, we would see another controller player start to shine. His name was Wolfies. Wolfies won the Week 10 Duo qualifier, securing his spot in the Duo World Cup finals. He then went on to get second place, taking home more than $2 million. Unknown and Wolfies had now made a name for themselves, with Unknown getting popular for his aggressive playstyle during the qualifiers, and Wolfies being one out of the two controller players to qualify to the Duo World Cup finals. On October 15, 2019, Chapter 2 would be released and controller players would start to dominate. The name Unknown Army would come back to life. Unknown was one of the many controller players to blow up during this time period due to his insane aim that would look like he's cheating. On December 8, 2019, Unknown Army went on to win Squad FNCS with Ronaldo, Avery, and Kez. But he wouldn't stop there. Throughout the remainder of this time period, Unknown would go on to win 3 solo cash cups and 4 duo cash cups, making a total of $15,000. At this point, aim assist had caused a lot of controversy in Fortnite. Keyboard players believed that aim assist compared to aimbot and would give controller players an unfair advantage. Meanwhile, controller players believed that aim assist would help them to keep up with keyboard players. After the dominance of Unknown, controller players stayed on top of leaderboards. Furious went on to win the solo invitational, making $100,000. Along with Furious winning, 3 other controller players, Assault, Scoped, and Hoofishy, all finished in the top 10. Soon after the invitational, Fortnite would host their first ever solo FNCS with another controller player winning. His name was Coop. Coop won solo FNCS, making $50,000. At this point, controller players continued to dominate leaderboards, with keyboard players still convinced that it was basically aimbot. Only 5 days after Coop winning solo FNCS, he would go on to win the solo DreamHack finals for $10,000. This only added more fuel to the fire. Keyboard players continue to express their opinions all over social media, with top tier pros saying that it's ruining competitive Fortnite. Soon after this, Fortnite decided to make their first nerf to aim assist. The new update would nerf the medium to long range tracking on linear aim assist. Some were skeptical about this update since the close range tracking was considered to be too strong. However, others noted that the medium to long range tracking was already weak, meaning that this update wouldn't change a thing. Even after Fortnite tried to nerf aim assist, that wouldn't stop the dominance of controller players. Fortnite had just announced that the next FNCS would be trios, and heading into the start of the new season, all the top teams are on keyboard. But right before FNCS, Reverse 2K decided to pick up 2 underrated controller players, Day and Miro. Reverse Day and Miro went on to win FNCS, making a combined $66,000. This was the start of Day and Miro. After winning FNCS, Reverse Day and Miro would go on to get 4th. They didn't do as good, but just like last season, they made sure to keep the consistency. Even after some drama, they decided to stick together and managed to win yet another FNCS. Many people started to make accusations that Miro and Day were carrying Reverse, and at their skill level, anyone could win with them. Many keyboard players would also credit their success to being on controller. Heading into the next FNCS, Reverse Day and Miro would not reach their expectations at all, ending in 15th place. Immediately after, both Day and Miro would be on the market looking for new teams. Booga decided to play his first FNCS with a controller player, picking up Miro. Meanwhile, Day decided to team up with Jamper and Tragics. At this point, most keyboard players would start to add 1 controller player to the team, forming a perfect trio. In the next FNCS, Miro would go on to get another win. Meanwhile, Day would be right behind him, placing second. These same placements would be repeated again, with Miro winning FNCS the next season and Day being right behind him again. Heading into Chapter 3, controller players would see the biggest nerf to aim assist ever. Aim assist would be completely decreased with the introduction to the new Chapter 3 guns. When compared to the guns in Chapter 2, the change would be noticed immediately. This aim assist nerf had keyboard players happy, but controller players worried that it might be time to switch inputs. With the aim assist nerf, there would only be 1 controller player that would be able to stay on top, and it was Miro. Miro was able to win yet another FNCS with Booga, cementing himself as the most dominant controller player in Fortnite. As the chapter went on, Miro would still be able to keep up. Miro would get 3rd in the next FNCS, and then right after he would get 2nd, only losing by 1 point. With this consistency, Booga and Miro would qualify to first ever Fortnite LAN since World Cup. Going into FNCS Invitationals, they were one of the favorites to bring it home, but fell short, placing 35th. Heading into Chapter 4, keyboard players would start to take over again. The first FNCS was won by Acorn and Cold, the second one would be won by Dukes and Edgy, and then the third FNCS would be won by Adriers and Kanata. Controller players began to struggle, and keyboard players were dominating, but two controller players managed to stand out. Mero would get second in FNCS alongside his duo Cooper, meanwhile Reet would get fifth with his duo Ritual. Both duos would secure their spot at the global FNCS in Copenhagen towards the end of the year. Only 6 controller players made it to the finals at the global FNCS, being completely outnumbered by the keyboard players. But that didn't stop them from showing up. Reet would finish in 9th with his duo, meanwhile Mero on the other hand would win it all, taking home $1 million. At this point, Mero would be the first controller player to join the discussion of the best player in the world. Heading into Chapter 5, both of these controller players would still manage to stay on top. Reet would end up getting 5th in the first FNCS, and Mero would finish in 9th. Then heading into the next FNCS, Reet would dominate again, getting 2nd place, but unfortunately Mero wouldn't perform the best, getting 19th. Keyboard players are on top right now, winning FNCS, meanwhile controller players are struggling to keep up. Many people believe that we're at a balance right now between keyboard players and controller players, meanwhile others think the controller needs an aim assist buff to start keeping up again. I'm interested to know what you guys think about this situation, so make sure to let me know down in the comments below. If you made it to the end of the video, then make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more videos like this.